Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Samp&Chance Boxing. On this episode, we are going back to Saudi Arabia, Queensberry Matchroom 5-on-5. We're going to break that down for you. It wasn't what we expected, but hey, we're going to talk about it. Also, great prospect top rank card this weekend. We're going to break that down a little bit for you guys as well. You don't want to miss that. All this and so much more on this episode of Samp&Chance Boxing. So strap in and thank you for letting us into your ears. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Samp&Chance Boxing. I am Bobby Sampson. He is Mr. Chance Michaels. Happy Thursday, Mr. Michaels. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Can't complain, man. It's Thursday. It's a lighter week, I guess. I mean, in terms of things to kind of recap and look forward to, but it's kind of a nice little break here. As we mentioned in the intro, Top Rank is got a, I guess you would call this, a prospect card, right? And I love when they do
Yeah.
these cards because as I was thinking about the show today, the one thing that I thought about was these prospects put on some of the best fights that we see right now because they're still hungry. They're professionals, but they're fighting like amateurs to get that name recognition. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah, sometimes they put on some good cards. Sometimes they don't always live up to the hype, but you
no,
never
they
know. Let's
don't, but
watch them.
they're trying the hardest. That's what I think that's the
Yeah,
point. It's kind of like college basketball and college football. Those guys work so hard. And that's why sometimes college games are so much better than the actual pro games. Like
yeah.
once you get to that certain level of a Shakir or a Tank or whatever, you start to kind of, not fumble, but
Well, it's the money. They're not hungry anymore because they're rich.
exactly where these younger guys are willing to put it all on the line. Sometimes the best fights are these cards. So,
Sometimes. Yeah.
if you're a casual fan and you're trying to get into the sport, these are the cards, in my opinion, you should be watching. But we'll break it down. Me. But before we get into that, let's go back to Saudi Arabia, man. Frank Warren, Queensberry, whitewash, complete whitewash. Did not Eddie Hearns did not win a match. Let's
Nope.
talk about it, man. Here we go. Um, here we go. Yes, yes, yes. I don't know what to make of this card, man. I mean, it almost felt like all the guys on Team Matchroom decided to say, "Fuck it, let's just all lose" or something. I mean, let's break it down. Let's just go with the main event right away. Deontay Wilder, Zile Zhang. I mean, right off the bat, I mean, Deontay just had no business being in that ring. His technique is what cost him at the end. I mean, if you think about it, just not leaving himself wide open like that and just got completely destroyed. I mean, that's the end of Deontay Wilder, man.
Well,
Has to be.
he hasn't officially said that. But here's like I said in our last show. I said he would be knocked out. I knew that his legs are shot. If you look at his legs, he's got chicken legs. And I was watching his training. He can barely move on those legs. His legs are gone, and he's almost 40. When you get older, your legs give. When you do the training that they do, whether you're doing soccer, football, or boxing, your legs don't last as long. When your legs get heavy, you're toast, especially in boxing. I know that firsthand. So I knew he was going to get knocked out. I called it on the show. It was almost too obvious. He says he hasn't retired, but he needs to. He's done. He was stumbling around. Fury finished his career, and now he's hanging on. He's had a great career. The Bronze Bar made a lot of money. He's come from the projects. He's rich. He's an all-time. He'll make the Hall of Fame. He's not an all-time great because he doesn't have any significant wins, but he had a good career, and it was obvious, man. It was the easiest fight to call. That and Dimitri Bivol. His legs are chicken legs.
Yeah.
He's got no legs. He first of all started complaining about his legs when he wore that heavy gown in the Fury fight. Oh, my legs are too heavy. We already were carrying a gown. His legs are gone. So good career. But time to go.
His mother was calling for him to retire today on X. So I mean, just I think it's time for him. Biggest surprise for me was the Hrgovic Dubois fight. Only reason being is when Hrgovic came out, like possessed. I mean, I thought, okay, this is over. He just came out and he just both these guys were landing shots. But Hrgovic in the beginning of that fight, I thought, okay, this is going to end really quick. But I don't know what happened to him. I think he just unloaded everything he had and he had nothing left, man. It just
Dubois is strong. Look at how he's built. Strong. He's young. He's only 26. People forget that how young he is. He's not even in his prime yet. Most people prime is 28 to 32 kind of thing. It's not even in his. He's not even got the man strength that he's going to get. He's only going to get better and stronger. He's going to be fighting AJ Joshua next.
Yeah.
So that'll be a good fight, and I hope Dubois beats him. We'll see what happens then. But Herkovich it was an upset because Herkovich was the favorite. Dubois came out there, beat him fair and square, and he's a stronger, younger guy. And Herkovich is shaking his head because that was his fight to win, to catapult him to the upper echelon of heavyweights. Now he goes down the ladder, and Dubois goes right up, and he's fighting Joshua next. That fight's
Yeah,
gonna happen.
he just had a
And
mental breakdown of sorts here, man. I mean, all the
I
time.
think Dubois is better. He's bigger, he's stronger, and he's quicker, and he's younger, and just beat him.
Hey, man, I got nothing against Dubois. I mean, if you think about Dubois overall, generally speaking, it just kind of, you look at him, he has given up in the ring before. I think it's just that mentality, that age, he wasn't there, he wasn't prepared for any of this. But now he's kind of coming into his own, and it's kind of good.
He's only 26, so I mean, Joshua will be the favorite, but you better be careful because Dubois is a game
No,
fighter.
hey, man, if he took those shots from Hergovich the way he did in the beginning of that fight, that says a lot, right? I'm not going to bet against Dubois. Well, maybe I have to against Joshua just because, but I won't be surprised now. That's what I'm saying. It's not a mismatch
Yeah,
as many people would have thought it would have been a year ago, even before Saturday night. All right, let's continue with this as a second round. We still got a little bit more to cover on this card. So let's get started again here, man, with this one. All right, let's talk about Dmitry Bivol. We already know, what to expect from that. And it was basically him, yeah, he got touched up a little bit, but I think, because I was explaining this to little Miss Miss while she was watching, like, oh, why is this, if he's so good, how come he's taking his time? I said, he's working his range, he's working, trying to figure out where this guy's coming from. And basically that's what it was. It took him a couple of rounds to figure him out. And then he just took care of Malik. I mean, respect to Malik for taking the fight on such short notice. But I mean, this was a good, and the fact that Bivol got the knockout, the ref stoppage, puts him in a great spot, makes that fight with Better Beef in October even better now.
easy night's work for Bivol. We all knew, everybody called it. Anybody with any common sense in their head knew he was going to do this, right? And he just honing his skills. He was landing some hard shots on Malik, those thudding shots. You could feel him. He teed off on him. He was a little more aggressive when he wanted to finish. You don't really see Bivol was never that aggressive against Canelo guys because he couldn't be, because those guys are too good. They'll hit you back hard and take you down. But he knew he had the opening. And he's like Crawford. He sees an opening, and he's such a technician. He hits you, he doesn't miss his shots, and hits with a hard thud. And he did what he was supposed to do, and away we go.
It just makes the fight more exciting now going forward, because the only knock on Bivol was that he never finishes anybody, right? He just goes the distance all the time. And, but now that he got that finish, you just see something in him. Like, I mean, that elevates that fight in October even
It's easier
more.
to finish a guy that doesn't know how to fight back as well. You won't be the same against Better yet, because you're gonna be thinking,
No, 100%. But just the visual of it.
yeah,
You know what I mean? That's all I mean.
Good for him.
All right. My favorite, probably in my opinion, the fight of the night, Raymond Ford against Nick Ball. This could have gone either way again. Nick Ball this time getting the decision and winning the fight. I don't think he could go wrong either way. But Raymond Ford, man, I mean, he needs to step up his act. But I mean, he's leaving that. He's going up in weight now. He's not.
Yeah, he has a hard time making it.
So, he only made.
I thought Ford won. I wasn't. It was not a robbery, outrageous decision. I thought, by watching, I thought, okay, Ford has this, so they gave it to Ball. But it was a good fight, by far the best fight of the night.
Yeah,
hands down. We knew it would be. We said that before in the last show, right? I thought Ford won, but it was really close. I don't have a problem with how the judges did it. So,
well, that's the thing. I mean, that's probably the one fight that I didn't want to be a judge for. You know what I mean? It was just a really, really close fight. I mean, every time that Ball came at him, he came back at him. Every time that Ford came at him, he came back at him. So I mean, it was really
well. Ford, he's so crisp. He's so concise with his punches. Everything about him, and he looked good. I thought he won it, but like I said, nobody's going to cry robbery here because it was such a close fight, and that is on Ford for leaving it that close. And they gave it to Ball, so he's going to move up in weight. He can't make that weight no more. He needs to go up to 130, 135 or something.
No, that's
the only thing I will say. It was a good card. And it wasn't great. There's a lot of duds. Like it was a good card. It looked better on paper than it actually delivered, but you don't know. But I like the concept. Eddie Hearn got his butt handed to him. He is, to me, I've said it before, he's like the Tony Khan of boxing. This is kind of a geeky kind of a guy that kind of people laugh at, kind of push him around. Although he's better at running a boxing company than Tony is at running a wrestling company, because he's more successful. But just kind of he got humbled big time here.
I know, 100%. you know what? At the end of the day, this was really fun. I mean, both, there's a lot
Mhm.
on the line here. I mean, you think about the bragging rights, and if you look at the history of Queensberry and Matchroom, I mean, this goes further
Yeah.
beyond Eddie Hearns and
It was a heck of an idea. I love the format. I love it. Doesn't mean because it's great on paper, we'll deliver on the card on the fights. It wasn't a bad night. It was still a good card. It wasn't amazing.
it was
So
long.
too long, way too long. They need to cut. Here's a problem with the Saudi Arabia cards. They're too long, okay? And we don't need all the national anthems. One national anthem for the country you're in, like UFC does it. Dana White, if you're in America, he does the American national or Canada, whatever country he's in, you do the national anthem. Every fighter doesn't need a national anthem for the heavyweight fight. We need to cut that out of boxing because the co-main event to the main event in boxing is a 20-minute wait. It's too long. We don't need to hear the Chinese national anthem, the Ukrainian national anthem, the Canadian national anthem, and then the anthem of the country we're in. 3 national anthems is too much. Nobody right now, not WWE, not AEW, not even boxing, and I love boxing more than UFC, but nobody's running a better card than Dana White. Nobody puts on better fights than Dana White, although His Excellency is making a run for them, giving a run for his money. And nobody's got the balls the size of grapefruits that Dana White has. He's the most loyal friend. He's an honorable man. He stands up for his buddies. Look at I don't know if you've seen UFC. Look who he's coming out with. Look, he walks out in the arena like these are 2 alpha males, like Tony Khan and Triple H and Eddie Hearn. They tuck their tail between their legs and they wouldn't even walk out with a guy like that, even though if it was his friend. That's the kind of guy that he is. Dana White crushes all these guys. I had to bring that up.
No, I'm not going to disagree with you, man. I mean, he's
And that's why UFC is the best.
well. I
I
think
like boxing better, but UFC is way more popular because they're putting on better fights. It's not 6 hours. This is like a 6-hour boxing. You don't watch all that. It's too much. Trim it down to 3 hours.
no, I get it, but I mean, I'm not defending it, but it benefits me and guys like myself that are trying to do things in between. So I mean, you know what? These longer,
Yeah, but most people aren't going to. But that's why people aren't watching it though.
yeah, and they're
Like
charging you for
I
it.
don't know anybody besides me, you, and my buddy Gronk, who I played football with, that watched that Queensberry Matchroom stuff. I'm not saying people didn't, but UFC, all I heard about in our football and hockey groups, they watch it. You know what I mean? It's like it's so much more
No, I
popular,
get it. I
and
get
I
it.
like boxing better, way
Yeah.
better. But I'm saying I see why it is more popular because they don't have all these national anthems. They don't need a 6-hour card. UFC starts at 7, ends at 10. The pay-per-view side, there's a prelim side of it. I get that. You don't have to watch that. 7 to 10, it's done. Big fights, best fight the best. No bull crap.
Yeah,
Boxing is too much crap.
it benefits us. I mean, the only thing I would knock is the start times. I guess it sucks for the people in the East. I mean, it starts at 10 and ends at like 1:30. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's the only downside of it for me. If
But
you're
right now, nobody, not in AEW, WWE, not even my boy Bob is out doing the man that Dana White is. No,
this
can't
is,
even carry his bags.
and I think this is Turkish now because this is him. Like he's the one who's kind of bringing it up.
He's
Right?
getting on his heels. He's making
So
good.
so it should be fun. And now that he's going to be expanding into the States as well, I mean, he's taking shows
Well, the
outside.
Saudis got golf, right? They got live golf. They took all the best
Yeah.
golfers. They got boxing,
Yeah.
right? Now everybody's saying Vegas is the fight capital, but Vegas is not putting on the big fights as he is.
No,
It is
no,
what
no.
it
But
is.
what I'm saying is now you're going to start to see him bringing
That's
them
what I mean. Yeah, they're trying to take over sports.
right. So and that's great though.
They
Because
won't get into UFC because UFC's got the market, but or like get an MMA because it's just too hard because Dana White is just ultimate alpha dog. He's just an amazing guy.
yeah, no, 100%. I'm not going to disagree, but I'm excited for where boxing is going. I mean, it's been fun to talk about. It's been fun to kind of
Oh,
cover.
I'll if you give me boxing, you see, I'll watch boxing any day over UFC. But what I'm saying is, I know why UFC is more popular, and I
No, no,
see
I
why,
get it.
and
Because
it
they're
totally
making the
makes
fights
sense.
that everybody wants to
Yeah,
see. They don't waste time with it, right? You're
yeah,
getting
the best fight the best.
exactly, and that's the way it should be always, right? But I think we're going to get to that now with boxing here. Let's continue on here. I wanted to touch on the top rank card that's coming up this weekend. We won't go over it all, but there's a couple of fights on there that we should talk about, the main event and the co-main event. I'm looking forward to this, man. We got Xander Zayas coming up against Patrick Texteria in the main event here. Now, here's the thing on Xander. Like, I've been watching this kid for about 4 or 5 years. I didn't realize he's only 21. Top rank Bob signed him when he was 15 or 16 years old.
Bob got him.
Right? So I mean that's some talent there. And I'm not saying he's ready after this fight to go. I think he's going to win, obviously, but I don't think he's going to be up there yet with the top dogs. But I mean, I love the way that Bob is bringing him up and building him the right way. And on the co-main event on this, you got Bruce Carrington, Shushu coming back after that dominating knockout that he just had. I mean, I love this card. I'm really excited because you got two young, hungry prospects here. These are going to be the future of boxing. And if you ask me personally, I think Carrington might be a couple steps further than than um than Xavier right now, or Xander
Right,
right now.
right now he might because he's older, but here's the thing: a couple things at play here. Number one, it's in the Madison Square Garden in the theater. It's free. It's free on TSN, ESPN. You get the best two commentators in boxing right now: Joe Tessitore, Tim Bradley. They always deliver a great product. When you're listening to those guys, and you actually, it feels special listening to them. Certain you don't get that much anymore in comedy. Most wrestling commentating is not very good. UFC is okay, but those guys are special. At least it seems to me. This guy had been signed with 16 balls and horror in his tail. This is the Puerto Rican Independence Day. The parade is happening in New York. That's why Bob's doing it there. This guy's only 21. He's still gonna have a few more fights. It's free TV. He's exciting. This is a layup for him. He should finish him in exciting fashion. And you got Chushu on the co-main event. This is a big card. There'll be a
I'm
lot
looking
of
forward
Puerto
to it.
Ricans in there cheering on Xander, man.
I'm actually looking forward to this card, and it's like I said, because these guys are hungry. They want it. They're trying to
And
prove
young, he's
something.
only 21.
They don't have the money, they don't have all the
Not
bags
yet.
yet, right? So they're still fighting for something. And you look at Shushu, like I said, I think Shushu will probably get a title shot down the line before Xander does. But Xander's just special, man. I'm
Well,
looking forward.
Xander is special. And he's just so young. He's only 21. So
Yeah,
Bob already says he's gonna have a few more fights where we can start getting with the top guys. But
exactly.
this is a good stepping stone for him. They've been on his tail since he's been 16. So he's got the best trainers around him. He's got all this stuff going. It's gonna be a great card. To me, Top Rank
And
has
he's
the best fighters
a good kid.
of all the stables.
Shushu. Yeah, no, 100%. And we've talked about the top five list that we've done.
Speaking of that, here's another thing De La Hoya is trying. I don't know if you heard this. Because he's Bobby's promoting him. He's trying to be buddies with Bob because he needs to be. He wants to do 5-on-5 Top Rank versus Golden. But I don't know if Big Bob's going to go for that. But De La Hoya's trying to get that going. Look, we're getting our butts kicked here in Saudi Arabia. You got Tio, you got Lomo, you got everybody. You got everybody. Like, name a guy, Bob's got him. And like De La Hoya doesn't have the stable that Bob has, but he does have some good fighters. Like you can go Garcia versus Tiafimo. That's huge right there.
Yeah, you can do some stuff there, but I mean, at the end of the day, I think and respect to De La Hoya for putting it out there, because
He's
if you
trying. He's
just like you
trying.
said, but just like you just said, you look at the two rosters, it looks like another whitewash for Top Rank if that ever
It
happens,
should
right?
be. You would think so.
But I think this is the way to go, and you know what? He's right. He's looking at how well that did for Matt, even in defeat.
Still
Match
a good idea. Yeah.
even Matchroom won. Queensberry one, I mean, you got to bring that over to North America, because at the end of the day, like I said, as much as I love boxing, and I want your opinion on this, and I don't think I'm too far off, boxing is still a fringe sport in North America to a certain extent.
And Sep, when you get the big guys in there, when you get the Mayweathers and Pocky, it's still the number one pay-per-view of all time. But
Exactly.
that's far between.
Right, and this is
There's only a couple Canelos and stuff. Even the Fury Usyk stuff, nobody really knows who Usyk is. So the fight didn't get all the pay-per-view buys because it was in the middle of the day and it's all the way over there. So nobody really knew who Usyk was. That was the only problem with that fight, because it should have been a blockbuster pay-per-view sales, right? Garcia is the biggest. Him and Canelo are the king of pay-per-views right now.
No, I agree with you. All right, why don't we say thank you to Mr. Deontay Wilder? I think he's pretty much done. I mean,
Not official, but yeah, it's pretty much done.
it's pretty much done. There's no one who he can fight now. There's no one. So
His legs are done.
to say thank you to Deontay Wilder for everything you've done. I mean, if anything, he elevated heavyweight boxing in North America when there was no one here, right? I mean, what can you say about the guy? He did everything. He's got the amazing knockout record. Yeah, probably didn't really face any stiff competition till near the end.
Yeah.
Uh, ultimately, I nothing but respect for him. Your thoughts?
I made a lot of money. I don't feel bad for the guy. Multi-millionaire. He worked hard. He earned it. But he's good. He's a legend. He's not an all-time great because he doesn't have that resume, but he had one of the hardest punches for a while, and he had a good career. He'll be a Hall of Famer. You're on mute.
Pardon me. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah, sorry. As I was saying, I just had a frog in my throat. I had a cough there. Even though he never fought the highest caliber talent, I mean, his record is his record, right? I mean, we
Yep.
can go back and break it down, say soup
Until he
can, soup
fought
can,
Fury.
soup
Yeah.
can, soup can. It wasn't up until he got into the last 4 or 5 fights of his career where, I mean, he was exposed, right? I mean, he was a one-dimensional
He just
boxer.
got old. He's just got shot.
But bro,
Reflexes were shot.
Deontay has always been a one-dimensional
No,
guy.
I know, but when he was younger, he could slip them punches and he hit so hard he just knocked you out. Then you
Yeah.
the same thing is once you get 35 to 40, your reflexes slow down. So those punches, he didn't have great technique, but he could just slip them and feint and move, and you couldn't get him. When you're 35, 36, 37, same thing happened with Fury. Fury doesn't put his hands up because he goes in the ropes and goes like this. Now he's getting hit because you lose that reflex. You hit about 35, 36, and you don't have the tech. Same happened to Roy Jones. He never had the most
No,
technical guy. So fast, 35, you lose that speed and you're screwed.
that trilogy with Tyson took a lot out of him. And
Oh, yeah.
I said this to you the other day. It took a lot out of Tyson, and we're seeing that in the way Tyson fights now. I mean, it's not the same Tyson Fury. He's a different fighter. He can't. I mean, I think he's pretty much done too. It's to a certain.
No, I'm going to put big money. He will be Usyk next time. This is too much money. They're going to have a trilogy out of this. But he's not quite as good as he was, but he's also 35, 36. When you're that big, like, these guys are giants. Usyk's not a big man. He's big, but not to these guys are giants. You slow down at 35, 36, like you said. They killed each other almost in the ring 3 times. They probably took 5 to 10 years off each other's life for what they did. And your reflexes slow down at 35. You don't have technique, you start to lose it.
But I also feel that the amount of knockdowns that these guys gave each other, the amount of times they knocked each other down, I mean, that,
Yeah.
honestly, if that trilogy didn't happen, if those knockdowns didn't happen the way they did, I mean, both guys were on the canvas, multiple times throughout that trilogy. There's no shortage of that. So, I
Yep.
mean, you look at that. I mean, the fact that Nagano took him down, yeah, he's a heavy hitter. The fact that Usyk got robbed of a knockdown, I'm going to say he got robbed because I think he did.
No, they still counted it as a knockdown. They counted it 10-8 round 4.
No, but meaning wise stopping it and not actually letting him, you know what I mean, go down, sort of a
Still
deal.
got the points.
The point of my point being, Deontay Wilder made that possible with the shots that he was feeding him. I don't think that would have happened with Usyk if that trilogy didn't happen. You know what? Maybe it would, maybe it wouldn't.
Combination of both. It's a combination of Wilder hitting him hard and his age. He's 35, 36. He's 6'9", right?
Mind also goes to a certain place. Once you've been knocked out, it automatically registers, right?
Yeah.
Oh, if I'm going to get too hard, I'm going to shut down. Right. And that's why
that too, but people forget that when your legs go, man, when you're 35, 36, and you're bouncing that ring and they tire out, you can't get out of the way anymore. Even though your mind wants to, just can't do it.
Right. But I'm just going to use a UFC example here, okay? And it's Islam Makhachev. He, pulled it out by his teeth there in the 5th round there on Saturday night. That was a good fight. Better than I thought. Dustin did better than I think he would have done. I thought that thing would have ended quickly. But the point I'm trying to make here is you look at Volk, okay? He got knocked out. He's never been knocked out before, but now all of a sudden, this guy had a solid chin. He took shots from Max. He took shots from everybody. Best punchers in the UFC at that time and didn't go down. He gets taken out by Makhachev. He comes back in his next fight. He gets knocked out again. It's just that psychological thing.
Sometimes, but it's. I think a lot of it. You're right too. A lot of it's age too. Example: Pacquiao got knocked out cold, 2013 or whatever it was, 2012. Never got knocked out ever again. Fought for 6 or 7 more years, and never got even touched the canvas after that, and was still dominating guys. So it depends who you are. And remember, Wilder and Fury are giants.
It's how you prepare. It's how you prepare. And you look at a guy like Pacquiao, who's just, okay, this didn't work. This is what I need to work on. Not everyone's like Manny. That's why he's one of the best in the world at what he does.
Remember, when you're 6'9" and 6'7", walking at 280 pounds, you just can't move that well.
And both those dudes got little legs. If you look at even Fury's legs, it's like a stick man.
Mm-hmm.
A stickman bottom body.
Yeah, legs. Yep.
Right. They all have chicken legs. I mean, there's no one really in boxing who's a complete package. Who is there anyone like great looking legs?
Pacquiao his calves. He's the biggest calves. That's why he was so strong. That's why he couldn't push him around.
Right.
Some of genetics too. Some people just.
It's kind of interesting though. You think about a sport that relies a lot on your legs to keep you balanced and standing. You figure they put a little bit more. Okay, maybe not the upper body because you want the range and this and that. You don't want your muscles to gas, but you would figure they'd make those legs like tree trunks, man.
Yeah, you'd think so. Some guys do, but most guys don't. But yeah, I don't. When you hit 35, your reflexes just slow down. You can't slip over.
As someone who trains people in boxing a little bit, and with your background on it, why do you think the legs aren't a part of their agenda in terms of working out?
It is. It's just that some guys' genetics, right? They're doing so much cardio that they're shredding off so much muscle. And if you look at boxing, most of the guys with the biggest arms have never been the best punchers. Not always. It's guys that have no muscle on their arm because your arms are too heavy. Like if you look at a guy like Adonis, for example, right? Huge arms are out to here. Guy couldn't throw a punch if his life depended on it because he's too big. He got no rotator cuff. He can't turn it over. So
Where do
some
you
of it's
get the
genetics,
draw?
some of it's the way they train, but they do work on their legs quite a bit. All the running and stuff, but it doesn't
Yeah,
really always
I get
develop.
that, but just building up the mass a little bit. Like if anything, your thighs, those are your motors. Like your legs can be skinny,
Mm,
right? I mean, but your thighs are your engines. That's where you generate all your power from. Is those from there? So you just figure you'd have a little bit more up there. Just I get the rest of it, but that's interesting that you say that because I mean, in September we got Dubois and Joshua. These are two big muscle guys, so this could be
yep.
an interesting one. Should
Yeah.
be
And the thing is, the more muscle you carry, the more oxygen you take up, the more tired you get.
Yeah, yeah. Should be interesting. Should be interesting. All right, brother man, we got a solid 4 rounds here. What happened today, if anything, in the history of boxing and Canadian history, if we have anything?
Well, the one and only Ricky hit Manhattan, who only ever lost to two guys, two of the greatest ever, Mayweather and Pacquiao. No shame in that, right? These guys beat everybody. This week in boxing history, in 2005, he fought Tim Tsz's dad, Kotze Tszyu. He ended up stopping Kotze Tszyu in the 10th round in Manchester, England, to become the junior welterweight champion of the world. Ricky hit Manhattan,
Awesome.
put down, and going into that fight, because I remember watching it, actually watch that fight with Jesus at my house. Tszyu was a favorite in that fight. He was like a 3-1 or 4-1 favorite. So for Hatton to come out and do that, pretty good. And after he got that fight and won the belt, because prior to that, Tszyu just beat Zhao Judah to get that belt. After Hatton won the junior welterweight belt, and then he ended up the fight with Mayweather, and he fought Pacquiao. So he had a great career. Just that we remember that he got smashed by those guys, but other than that, nobody could touch Hatton. He was really, really good in his day. He got really, really out of shape and came really, really back into shape, and so good for him. Canadian boxing history. Nothing happened this week of significance, but I'm going to mention a guy that I don't think I've really mentioned before. The first African American heavyweight champion of the world, Samuel Bone Crusher Langford.
Yeah.
Check out some of his fights; they're all in black and white, but you can find a few of them on YouTube. And some fighters didn't want to fight him because he hit so hard. Actually, on some of the experts' ranking charts, some of them will have him as number 2, number 3 heavyweight of all time. I don't think you can put him there because he doesn't fight those the big name guys. So yeah, Samuel Bone Crusher Langford, first African American heavyweight champion from Canada, ranked one of Canada's best boxers, top 10, and then he's always in the top 10 in the heavyweight too, depending on who ranks them. Everybody has a different judging scale of how they judge this, right? So
Yeah.
Samuel Bone Crusher, great name, Bone Crusher Langford,
Okay. And
back in the 30s,
I
100
wanted
years.
to just give a quick, awesome, brother. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Ryan Rozecki. He's a maritime fighter. He was supposed to fight this Friday for the cruiserweight WBC, I believe it was cruiserweight title, but that match is being called off. Can't wait for that one. I've been watching this kid for about 4 or 5 years. He's a Canadian prospect. Kid's a savage, man. I mean, go check him out. Ryan Rozecki, unfortunately, he will not be fighting this weekend, but he will come back strong. Angel Lozano has been sparring with him, training with him. So, I mean, he's in good books here, man. This kid's a world champion in the making. And yeah, check him out, man.
Yeah,
Mr. Michaels, I tell you what, why don't we wrap it up here? I think we've kind of covered everything that needed to be covered.
yeah.
Can't wait for this fight here. I wanted to ask you though, very quickly. I just had a thought. Wouldn't it be cool to see Mabili on this card on Saturday?
No. And the
No.
reason why I say no, because he got to fight in Montreal in his hometown. They try to build him up there as a big star. And that's the one thing that they do there is even when Bernard Hopkins came to fight John Pascal, did in Montreal a couple times. You fight it on Stevenson, you fight him in the Bell Center there at the time, the Forum, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So Montreal, anywhere in Canada, has the best boxing history.
Yeah.
The best fans from Canada are in Montreal when it comes to boxing. Vancouver doesn't have much of
No,
a
I get
boxing
that. I
base.
get that.
So I smart that they did that in Montreal. I think that was a good idea.
I was thinking on the other side that, okay, because you got Carrington on there, because you got Xander on there as well, this would have been like, even though the card was on ESPN, that card was shown on ESPN last week too.
Yeah.
I almost feel that he would have gotten more recognition and more,
Maybe on the TV side, but not at the gate. They wanted this is about ticket sales to at the gate, and he brings the gate to Montreal, so that's why they did it there.
what even in the middle of the card though. That's what I'm saying. It just, you probably get more reach and more people would know who he was. I would feel that on this card. Like, I'm not saying they got bad numbers last week, but this card's gonna do well.
This card did better visually, but he sells lots of tickets in Montreal, right? They want to build that up too.
I guess so. You gotta think about the gate as well.
It's all about the gate too.
All right, brother man, let's wrap it up here. My name is Bobby Sampson. His name is Mr. Chance. Michael's Chance.
In the words of the great AC/DC, those that download, like, and subscribe to the podcast, we salute you. And if Brian Johnson at 75 can still tour the world and blow any rock band out of the world, you can do whatever you want to do too.
Absolutely, Mr. Michaels, you took the words right out of my mouth, so I'll keep it simple. It's the weekend. The weather's getting better. Barbecue season in full effect. Girls got the manis and the petties and the summer dresses out. I love this time of the year. Good times for everybody. But hey, be safe. Do your thing. Just get home safe to your families, to your children. That's all we ask. And remember, as we always say, like Mr. Michaels just said, if anyone hates on you, it's because they hate themselves. If anyone hates on you, it's because they hate what you're trying to achieve. Let those people go. Forget about them. It's negative energy. You're bringing that negative energy into your lives. You don't need it. Just remember that any negative energy you have in your life is created by your own mind. So let go of the negative. Let go of the negative people. Fuck them. Samp and Chance have your back weekend.